is that after making a mistake, we need to face up to it. We need to tell the truth. That is integrity, telling the truth and honoring promises no matter the consequences.
They call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation. They call me a god. 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 I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. Wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me. Put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grade 6 feet like Kenny. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
I'm called of God. Called of God. And Tim Ballard told me he'd been called of God. Some wild-eyed prophet like...
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. You have made my life complete, and I love you. I'm a man with a different boy like shit like.
Remove. Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome. Sunday Night Live. So silly, right? How's it going? I went and got my hair shaped. So, yay. I think it looks a little better. It's a little more manageable. You can't hear me? Uh-oh. Can everybody hear me? We'll see if it's just Juliana or if it's me. Y'all know what kind of problems we had last week. Okay. Now you can hear me. Okay. Right? The technological effery. I'm going to just say effery. Anyways, I'm so glad to see you guys. Thank you, Trace. You're always good for my, what do you call that? Confidence, I guess. My ego, right? That damn ego. Boy, it'll get us in trouble every time. Seems to be the case. I'm pulling out my old-timey notes because I write old-timey notes. It helps me remember things. If I write them, then I'm more apt to remember them than if I just copy and paste, right? Okay, good. Hello, I'm glad you're here, everybody. I'm glad everybody's here. I hope y'all had a good week, a good weekend. And the time change is lovely. This is the best time of the year for me. It's the only time I'm pretty much on time. So I don't know. I say we go with Arizona and just, do no, they have no, oh hell, here I go again with the blank-mindedness, right? Daylight savings time. They're just one time all the time. And I like that. I like that very much. So, I didn't really know. I need to quit fidgeting. I didn't really know what to do the live stream on. I get to that a lot of times, and I'm like, I really don't know what to do it on. There's so many things to do it on, but it's just like pinning it down to one thumbnail, one thing. I could put all their faces on the thumbnail, okay, because that's what it's going to be about anyways, and I hate that, but it is what it is, and it's where I've been led to every single time for the last 4 years. I wish it weren't true. I wish it were not part of the story, but it is. And I mean, a lot of people may still be like, how is this related to Tylee, JJ, and Tammy and Charles's story? But it very much is. And it has gotten there. It has revealed that over time. I hope you guys can see that. I hope a lot of people can see it. It sucks. I hate that you can see it. I hate that that is what it is, but this is part of the story of, this is part of what made Chad and Lori Daybell do what they did. Bottom line. And so I've always thought that there are more people involved. There can't be this level of evilness, this level of destruction by two people who, money, power, and sex. That applies to everyone. No, I'm just saying. You're like, money, power, sex. Wow. You know, when I heard Lindsay say that, yeah, wow. I know, I was right there. I was looking at the projector screen that they had up. They showed Tammy way too long. I'll tell you that. I was just like, okay, I know what she looks like. I don't want to see her dead body, her dead face. You know, it just was very, okay, we are here. And that was at Lori's trial. But so we are here for money, power, sex, but that is, again, what goes, it can go for everyone on this planet. Ego, money, power, sex, right? Well, and that's something that I've been studying, and I don't know, this is just my gut instinct. This is how my knee-jerk reaction was to study. First, I wanted to see where Chad and Lori's beliefs differed from their Mormon church. Their church. And, you know, when I saw Lori, y'all have heard me say this a bazillion times, and I'm going to continue saying it because it's how I got to where I am. It's my origin story in this story. Whenever I saw Lori walk into the courtroom in March of 2020, you know, she had just been served, her and Chad, they were sitting poolside at a Kauai beach resort. No problems in the world. No problem. Sunbathing, bathing suits on. They were in for well, Chad was on the Lily diet plan or whatever the hell it was called. Hey, DJ. And they were sitting there poolside. You know, the Kauai detectives walk up, they serve her, and she sits up and, you know, and she's reading the order to produce the kids within 5 days. And Chad, like, you know, he leans in like he's just so concerned. And I even thought, I was like, well, in Chad's case, here is the point where I'd be like, wait, you have kids? I mean, that's where I'd be like, you know what I mean? If you were to, but he didn't say, oh, you have kids? Because he knew she had kids, because he helped, in my opinion, he helped get rid of her kids along with other members of my family, right? And we're planning, in my opinion, on ridding my mom, even because she became dark. Anybody who stood in their way became zombies or dark. Or, you know, we always ask, is Chad the one that, you know, rated them dark? Well, you know, come to find out, you have Thom Harrison here. This dude. Okay. You have the author of this book who comes into play unexpectedly late, in my opinion, because all this should have been brought out with Chad and Lori in the initial investigation. How they do it, why they do it, I don't know. Is it on purpose? You can't delay the inevitable, in my opinion. The darkness will come to light, and we will be here for all to see. It, you know, it's exposure, it's sunlight is the best disinfectant, in my opinion. That book scares me too, right? But it also is a big insight. This also, we study, or we're told as we're growing up to keep your enemies or your friends close and your enemies closer, right? Never did I set out and say, they're my enemies. I don't have any enemies, not that I made, but have obviously waged war against my own family. With that being said, that's all I've done is I've studied this church as an entity, as its own being. It's now I know there's people that are part of this church, and I love those people. I do. They're good people. And from my position where I sit now that I know the difference between, there is no difference between Chad and Lori's beliefs. They did not start their own offshoot. It's just a way for the church to distance itself from their involvement, in my opinion. And that's my opinion. Very strong opinion. Well thought out and well-researched opinion. And it breaks my heart to say that. It really does, It's just, when you get to the point where you have to ration or, do the rationalization of, their leaders, they're like the Pope. And so where I was then was ignorant. I was ignorant. I was naive. And I mean, just because I've never been in this position, I've never had to do this kind of research. You don't know this until you're actually in it. Or if you're really smart and just do this because you just like to be aware. I didn't want to be aware. I was not like, I needed an awakening or anything. Okay. I was just living over here in a corner of Southwest Louisiana. Just, I don't know, living, doing what I thought I was supposed to do. But this happened and it jolted me. It jarred me. It shook me to my very core. And that's when I set out on this quest. Hey, language. Big old sippy cup. Well, so you go through all these things and all the while, I have a lot of compassion for people, for my fellow human, no matter what their race, gender, creed, political preference. I don't care. That all goes out. It never comes into play for me. I'm not a labelistic person. That I found out that a lot of people in this world are. And that's been a whole other learning and just, whew, it's been hard to learn all these things in such a short amount of time. A lot of these people, they've been Mormon their entire lives. I've crammed the Mormonism and the culture for 4 years. It's hard for me to articulate. It's hard for me to put nonsensical things, in my view, into something that makes sense for me to be able to show you. It's really hard. And I really do think that it's designed this way on purpose. It's another, again, barrier or line of protection. It's another smoke and mirror. And I hate that term, but it is that. It's another way it's a way for the church to keep their members corralled in, because people on the outside do not understand people. And we try our hardest, but it's just ingrained in this culture. They don't trust, period. Then they're taught to only trust the insiders, people of like mind. And so even when they leave the church, that goes with them. Community is really important for them. And I mean, it really is important for everybody, I do believe, but it's also another way of isolating that person. You know what I'm saying? I know it's really, it's easy to generalize in order for me to get where I have to get in a quicker amount of time, because with everything that we talk about, you'd have to go off into 15 different areas or rabbit holes in order to understand that one thing, just to move forward, And so that's really tough. It really is. So I appreciate all of you who have been here and just have listened to me ramble and everything. A lot of that is it's me just grieving. It's me just talking my thoughts out loud. And it's like once I'm able to do that, then it's like I'm able to kind of let those, funnel in. I'm able to reflect. I'm able to either let something go, like that doesn't fit in this puzzle or this does. It helps me to figure out where to go, how to go. Am I going way off track here? Am I on the right path? It answers a lot of those questions for me. And so by doing this, hey Robinette, hey SL Connolly, hey A Aguilar and Donna. Yeah. The word of wisdom and the questions they asked to get temple recommend. Yeah, to get a temple recommend. She said, "Are you becoming a Mormon?" I was like, "Heck no," but I learned a lot, right? And I only say that, right? We only bring these kind of things up about like a temple recommend. We're curious. I'm curious because from what I saw from the people around Chad and Lori and even Lori, it is worth a lot. A temple recommend is your Jesus card. It is your gate into heaven. Because if you are not a temple worthy member, you go over there in that church and sit with all the other normal people, who just, oh my gosh. And to have to pay, they have created the most fraudulent system, in my opinion, the most exploitative, the most immoral system. And then they tell you how to live. They tell you their expectations. You're not worthy. You're not worthy. You're not worthy unless you do this. Everything is conditional. I haven't met one yet who sees it as unconditional love. There's always a condition. And that is so heart-wrenching for me. Just think about that. How they never feel worthy enough or good enough. Or, is that person that, friendship or whatever, is it with conditions? It's like waiting on the rug to be pulled out from underneath you all the time. And it's so sad. And then, so the church is, in my opinion, this is how I see it. The church uses this and exploits the member. Okay. It's enslaves the member. Bondage, that whole thing. And they pay the church to treat them like shit. It's so crazy. And it's so abhorrent. It is abhorrent. It's a very depraved system, and it's morally bankrupt. And so that's how I look at that church, at that being, it's its own entity. That's how I look at it. I'm sizing up, and I have been sizing up my enemy, so to speak. I didn't dub it an enemy. It waged war on my family. Here I am trying to figure it out, trying to understand how it works, how it moves. And that helps me to understand the why, the what, the who. That's what helps me put those pieces together. And it explains a whole lot to me. Now, and you're not going to get this from, it's not going to be in the FOIA docs. I mean, it's all part of it. Mine is Journey to Justice, Justice through Understanding, and it's through the context, if that makes any sense. It's the best way I can explain it. I want to know what, who, when, what all went into making Chad and Lori do what the hell they did to my family. Even its own members, the church's own members. So it's nuts. Yeah. Oh, I know. Right. Robinette. And so that's another thing, I am Christian. I don't go to church. I don't belong to a church. I don't believe in it. Obviously, I didn't know that then. I know that now. I know that man is corrupt. And that applies to all men, all women, all of us humans on this planet. We can become corrupt. And it's like how we deal with that as to what kind of person we're going to be, what kind of wife or husband or brother or sister, so on and so forth. And so just to have a good moral compass, humanity, just treat others as you want to be treated. Just all look out for everyone. I just don't see any harm in that. I do see harm when it's us versus them, and things tend to get real hairy, especially whenever, you have an institution saying this. They're against us. They want to persecute us. Well, it kind of creates the delusion of, I know y'all have it. Y'all are saying it right now. The us versus them paranoia. It's not us versus them. We aren't against them. And it just sucks whenever you have a people that are so enmeshed and just programmed. It's all they know. And that's so scary, and it's sad. And so for all of you who have been in these types of religions and have gotten out, I'm so proud of you. I don't think you give yourself enough credit. And so I want to give that to you and just thank you, because you did yourself a favor. Whether the church excommunicated you or not, they did you a damn favor. Just know that. In a way, they did Tim a favor. He just don't know it yet. Hopefully he will find himself. Hopefully he will repent. Hopefully he will make right, And that's all I can do as a fellow human is hope that he does well. I can only hope that Lori and Chad do better. We can't go back. We can only go forward. And so that's how that's how I deal with it. That's just how I've always been. I've had exes and everything, and I always ended up being friends with them afterwards. And it's just like, well, there's no point in slinging mud. There's no point. We went in one way. We liked each other. We were good people. We're still good people, just not together. It's very simple. We make it complicated. But anyways, back, orbit. So I have always thought, just didn't know how to articulate it. I didn't know how to say it without sounding crazy. A lot of this makes me sound crazy. I'm just like, oh my God, this is not how I think. But this is where it leads me every damn time. And I'm like, I've got to get over this barrier. I've got to get past this. In order to really bring this message out, I've really got to get past this, past my own uncomfortable ego or whatever this is. It's a protection mode also. It's vulnerability. And it's scary because people are quick to judge and attack and label you and put you in this other category and then just say, nah, crazies, don't listen to them. Okay. And I can't stop that. You can't stop that. But it shouldn't stop us from speaking truth. They can do with it what they will. They're going to anyways. But, and it's so bad. And I've been saying that for a long time. I've thought for a long time, back in 2020, before I met Jen, I want to say, I don't know if I met her in 2020 or it was 2021 when I met her. But back then, I had that internal conversation, that dialogue with myself, and I was like, okay, this goes all the way up. Oh crap, who do I go to? Who's my next chain of command? Who do I go to? How do I go up this ladder? Just as my Uncle Charles did, right? He called the cops. He called and, made an appointment with his bishop or whatever, talked to his bishop, included his bishop. He went the right route. He went and got a 72-hour involuntary hold on his wife because he was worried, as he should have been. I'm like, oh my God, they didn't stand a chance. They did not. He didn't stand a chance. Really. Why? Because you have more than Chad and Lori at work here, more than just a couple of the Cox family. You have more things going into this enablement, this empowerment. You have a church who practices something so deceptive and so secret. This is why Lori and Chad were introduced to one another. It wasn't through his books. She might have had some of his books, but it wasn't through his books. I can tell you that. I can't prove it. No. Why? Because I'm dealing with a bunch of liars. That's why. Okay? They're depraved people. They don't care. They're just out for themselves and that's it. Whatever. Do what you do. I just want the truth. And you have to go and fight for the truth sometimes. And it's worth it. They're worth it. All day, every day. Anyways. So the church sealed Lori and Chad together. They introduced them. That's what the whole like-minded people thing is. This whole Jason Mal meeting up with, he met Lori, then he introduced her to Melanie Gibb. Okay. And then I don't know what her connections are. I can only imagine. Then you have this whole circuit of people in these preparing of people, Latter-day Media, the Firm Foundation, Book of Mormon Evidence, all these, whatever. And they can incorporate them and do a 501c3 and LLC them and all that. But it's still, I don't care. I'm not worried about the business aspect of it. I'm worried about just right here, what's right in front of me, which right in front of me are some very misled people. Up is down, down is up, black is white, light is dark. Okay. It's backwards. I don't know why. I have a good hunch. Because I believe in God. And so if I believe in God, I believe in the Satan. I believe in the devil. I believe in there's heaven and hell, as above, so below. As much as there is bad, there is good. It's the same. It balances. It's Mother Earth. I don't know. That's just my philosophy or whatever, my beliefs. And I don't expect you to believe them, but I appreciate you being respectful and letting me just dish. So, and I think it's important that you know my belief system. That way you know how I'm approaching these things, And I just think that's okay for us to respect others' beliefs. But when they go on to hurt people, murder people, then I think that's when you lose your right and you need to stop and listen. And that's when we get to step in and we get to say, no. And for those who are wanting to listen, they're because they know what they're in is not right. They know that. And they have to hush that all the time. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right. And that is your intuition. And we've been taught over time to disregard our own internal system. Okay. And to not trust it or anyone else's. And I mean, look at where we're at. Okay. It's not very good where we're at. You got all these people everybody's just talking out their asses, basically. And it's a scary world. It doesn't have to be. We need to educate ourselves. We need to trust our own systems, our own feelings. Feelings are okay. Don't discredit them. Don't go off, don't go only on your feelings. You've got all these things working in tandem, they're working together. And you use that with discernment. That's the gift of discernment, in my opinion, is just, you don't have, just because somebody says, and that's been weird. That's been one of those things where I'm just like, oh my God, what? People are like, Chad and Lori, Chad's a cult member. He's a prophet. And I'm like, what? And I mean, I research inside and outside everywhere all the time. about 1,000 times. I've already come back and revisited things, and I'm like, I don't see any evidence of Chad being a prophet. It's like there's I don't know, maybe I don't have the right definition or whatever, but there's nowhere where, like David Warwick alluded to or said straight out, lied on the stand because he took an oath, right? He's all about the oaths. And he took an oath and swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help him, my God, right? My God, not his God. Because his God's a lying God and a deceptive God. Lying for the Lord. It's a phrase that was around before I came around. And that's terrible. That's terrible. So these people live by these standards, these principles, and they're depraved. They don't know right from wrong anymore. They don't know light from dark. They don't know pain from pleasure and love from hate. And so I don't trust these people. Whenever he is home, he is home. I saw him yesterday. I know, huh? Yeah, he's been home since last week, but I just didn't say anything. Yeah, it's different. It's peaceful. I have to say, it just feels he's home. That was the whole point. But anyways, I don't know. Just, yeah, I don't believe people should act on their beliefs. That's their beliefs. Everybody has that right, but not everybody has the right to act on them. No. First off, I want to know, is there scripture or anything, any kind of basis for us having anybody, any of us on the planet, having to help Jesus usher in anything? Or is that just some projection? Because I do believe that's what it is. I do believe, and I really hope you let me know what you think on this, because I just like to check myself, right? And it makes me wonder, because century after century, time after time, since the beginning of time, we've led ourselves to extinction, and we're just like, we're dumb people. We're dumb. We do dumb things. I do. All day, all day. I'm the first one to tell you. But there are those who they won't admit to their shortcomings. They won't admit, that's that ego. They think they're holier than thou, so to speak. They believe, sometimes because that's what they're taught. Sometimes they're taught to believe that they are saints, okay? And the only saints. And so much that their church has to say that it's true. And I've never heard this logic until I met the Mormons. And I was like, what? Why you got to say you're true? It doesn't add up for me. That's my gut feeling, saying anything that has to say that they're true is most likely opposite of that. Okay? It just, I don't know. To me, that's a tactic used to indoctrinate, brainwash people into saying that it's true. I've heard it over and over again. The church is true. Joseph Smith is true. The Book of Mormon is true. The church is true. The leaders are true. Everybody's true. And it couldn't be further from the freaking truth. It's opposite. And it really sucks to know that my family was caught up into this. And that there are so many other people who are caught up in this. And maybe just this particular thing hasn't happened to them yet. Then there are those that it does happen to. I think of like Tammy's sister, her family. They're all Mormon. They believe in this stuff. How much of this, had it not been for my mom and Larry really just going at this, right? With all the media attention, that's on purpose. That's a tactic, right? That's called an insurance policy. Okay. And you have to use it as a tool. It is a tool. Now, I just wonder how much of it, if it were all just true believing Mormons, because you think about all the things that have happened in the past that get covered up, time and time again. They don't care if it's a child, an infant, a woman. They don't care. A man. They don't care. All they care about is self, ego. They cover it up. They don't want to look bad. It's all about the image that they project, because I know and you know that that is not at all what it is. We know. We know. That's why we investigate it. That's why we are like, yeah, that's just not right. That's why we analyze it. That's why we talk about it. And it's to hopefully learn, because that's what we do. Also, we learn from other people, right? I want Tylee, JJ, Charles, Tammy, and Joe, their blood was spilled, okay? Not because of their own, because that's the cycle of life, the circle of life. Not at all. It was not normal. They were taken. Somebody played God and murdered them. And you can say that for anybody who's not, if it has no religious aspect of it or at all. People are playing God. I don't know what else to call it. And I think that's wrong. It's wrong. You don't get to make that decision. You can move around. You can make decisions on what to do with yourself, but you don't take someone else's life at all. Bottom line, end of story. Okay. You don't do that. If you don't like them, go get over yourself. Okay. Go get the F over yourself. Okay. Because it's a you problem. It's not a them problem. It's in you. And that's the projection that we are doing. A lot of us do this projection. We criticize, we analyze, and sit there and nitpick people apart for what they do, what they say. I'm just saying, I'm just being honest with you. And we sit there and we're just like, why did they type in all caps? Why did they da? Get over yourself. Get the hell over yourself. Okay? It's a you problem. It's on. Nobody can do that to you. Don't let them do that to you. But anyways, sorry. Just gets, sometimes we need to hear these things. And sometimes, and I'm hearing them too, I'm saying them, I'm hearing them. They're coming out of my mouth, through my teeth and everything. So, and then blame it on God. Yeah. And it brings a lot of people away from my God. And I just think that's so sad, because my God's not a hurtful God. He's a very forgiving God. I don't know. I see these kind of, what do you call them? High demand religions. And they use these things. That's satanic ritual abuse. If you kind of think about that, actually, I just kind of thought about that. A little epiphany, where if we use scriptures and twist them in any certain way for our own agenda, I mean, come on. And we're using scriptures to browbeat or shame somebody else, and shame on you, period. That's on you. Go check yourself, please, quick. And then continue to do it. It's okay. It's normal. It's normal. But when you have a people who are above that, who are told they're above that, who believe they're above that, then we have a freaking problem. And that is where we are at and why we are here today. We have people who aren't into humbling. They don't listen to things the right way. Or so I don't know. I don't know what their deal is. I don't know. I'm just still trying to figure out the world I live in. But they are above criticism. They are, and I mean, not negative, just any criticism. I don't know how many of these people have their comments turned off. They cannot handle criticism. It reminds me of Judge Boyce. I'm just saying, if he's not a practicing Mormon anymore, he damn well is very immersed in that culture. You can't take it out of him. You can remove the judge. You know what I mean? You can do all that. And it's just a saying, but he does not handle negative or any kind of criticism very well, obviously. And so anyways, it just goes on. And I mean, that's just normal behavior to have the we all have a level of narcissism in us. We all have selfishness. We all have these characteristics. It's just to what degree and to how much they're allowed to just go and blow, right? That's where we have a problem. There's no regulation on it. It's just like, oh, okay, there's one going AWOL now. There's another one. Oh, look, it's just like, who's the latest asshole who just went unchecked for a very long time, you know, who just didn't have an attitude adjustment, or um, who doesn't handle criticism and deletes all the comments instead. You know, you don't want to surround yourself. I don't want to be surrounded by yes men. I just don't. because that is problematic, in my opinion. You can't have a bunch of people like, oh yeah, atta girl, that's okay, you're doing okay, it doesn't matter. You know, it does matter. It does matter a lot. So so well said, thank you. But so I mean, I go into all these things and I think a lot. I do a lot of thinking. I do a lot of reflection. I do a lot of I wonder, you know, I just do a lot of these things. They help me somewhere, you know. And I mean, thus far in this, by using and not silencing my, what do they say in Mormonism, still small voice, my intuition, my gut instinct, I have not silenced that. And it's been screaming at me since my Uncle Charles was murdered. It jolted, it shook me to my core. So much so that I've dedicated the last 4+ years trying to figure this out, wanting to know why, how, who, what all went into creating Chad and Lori Daybell. Yes, on a personal level, they are guilty, allegedly for Chad, but she is guilty for sure. And these are just technicalities, right? I have to do the allegedly thing so I don't get sued. And which really sucks. That's something else I had to learn along the way. I was like, you don't have to say allegedly. They did. They're not alleged victims. They are victims. You know, Tylee didn't fall apart and bury herself and all that. Okay. And JJ didn't run around and duct tape himself. They're victims. Okay. Can we just say that? But then you can't say they're victims until the perpetrator is convicted technically in our judicial system, which I call bullshit on that. But here we are in an imperfect world, right? And it is infuriating also. But anyways, that's just one of those things that you find along the way, that victims don't have many rights at all. At all. No, I don't read the Bible. I don't know. Lee, what? Same reason you're here to tell me not to. I don't know. I don't want to do I just respect others' beliefs. And I mean, I like what you bring here. I like how you say things. You know, it would be equal to somebody trying to get me or convince me that to join their church. It's kind of the same, you know, and I don't like that. I'm just like, yeah, you know, I don't know. I feel like if somebody's trying to convince me, then it's just uncomfortable. You know, I'm more likely to not buy into it, or to, what do you call it? I'm trying to think of the words. I'm not likely to even consider it. But I think that us talking like this and everything, and that's why, you know, I love everybody's comments. Hey, Chris. Sorry. That's why I like everybody's comments, because I think that we all have something to bring to the table. We all have our own walk of life and our own experiences to share. Okay. But you know, I would never, I don't try to sell anybody on how I feel. I just feel like it's important for me to tell you how I feel and how I believe and how I think. That way you can decide whether that's healthy or not. I don't really know, or to know how I'm deciding these things, how I am problem solving, or I don't really know the right terminology for that, how I'm getting to where I'm at. And I can only tell you through my lens, right? Because I'm the only me. You're the only you, right? So, anyways, I've always thought that this goes to the very top. This goes above Chad and Lori. I always have. Ever since Lori walked into the courtroom with her shoulders back, her head up, she was looking down at everybody, looking down upon all of us, the judge, my family that was there, anybody that was watching on TV, all of you and spectators, she was looking down on everyone. She was confident. It didn't jive right for me. If I was like, who is that person? Because I don't know who that is. I met Lori. I know Lori. I've loved Lori. She adopted my baby nephew. She's married to my uncle. But this Lori I was looking at was someone I never knew. Oh, I just hit my microphone. She was someone that I used to know. And it brings you to that Gotye song, or Gautier, right? Someone that I used to know. And it very much is just verbatim, that song. It's a good descriptor of it. And I just was like, who is that? Because, and in that moment, everything changed for me. My feelings for Lori severed. I'm able to just flip the switch off. And I disconnected right then, right there. And I didn't know who that was inhabiting that body, or who the hell that woman was. Because that's somebody she never presented to me, for the most part, my family, before. People present only what they want to show you, All we can do is try to figure out why people do the way they do, why they do what they do, and who like influences that. Okay, there's Source, there's Chad and Lori, but there's already other Chad and Loris, so to speak. There's Blaze that just happened with the whole second coming. I still don't know how I feel about that. I feel for the kid. I feel for people who are just caught up in this. But it's just also suspicious to me. Very suspicious. Very specific and it's very specific speak. It's Mormon speak. And it's weird, in my opinion, that people speak like this, that people speak about the second coming of Jesus Christ, how they speak about it, how there's Lori's cousin, Braxton, right? Braxton. I'm scared. I'm freaking scared. Just so nonchalant. Good night. Sit in bed. Don't get poked. Oh, well, be careful. Sweet dreams. But there's more of these type of people. Okay. And so this is not a me problem. This is not affecting just my family. Didn't just affect Tylee, JJ, Charles, and Tammy. This affects everyone who interact with these people. These are our fellow humans. These are our brothers and sisters. All of us. No religion, no labels, just that's our fellow human. And so that's scary. And I really don't know how to get to them besides doing what I do here. They'll find me. Poor things, but you know what I mean? Like, because something sits in them, I feel, because they're always looking for the truth. They're always being told to hush and silence their truth. They're always told to hush their still small voice, okay? When it's screaming at them and saying, no, this is not right. Practicing polygamy, I don't want to have another wife. I don't want to have 4 wives, extra wives. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how this works. And it's so sad. Because they're settling. Because that's what they're told to do. That's what, yeah, Kelly. Braxton literally had no emotion when speaking of the kids. It was spooky. Yeah. I mean, I want to go hit him in the head with the book and be like, thank you for introducing it to her, and don't be so damn passive about it. That bothers me bad, really bad. Like, so it's, in my opinion, it's people like him who, again, like whenever I was talking to Larry, when I first heard my uncle tell my mom, he was like something about a cult. I wasn't being nosy, so I didn't like hang around to listen to the rest of it. I should have, but found out later, unfortunately, the hard way, because this happened. And but so me and Larry broke off to go talk in the living room and leave my mom and Uncle Charles right there in the kitchen. We could still see him. It's an open floor plan. But I was like Charles Manson, that kind of cult, that was just my level. That's my ignorance. That is my ignorance. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, he didn't kill anybody. Well, and Larry looked at me crazy. Like, what? Like, are you serious? And this is how I feel like it should work for Braxton. Those things should ding, ding, and say, oh, well, maybe, wonder. It's like somebody else's perception, And so I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I need to be a little more knowledgeable about that. Maybe I need to not speak so ignorant. We all tend to just shoot from the hip and say the most ignorant things, right? I mean, still, just going on in this, knowing what I know now just about this doesn't mean I know everything about everything, Now there's people who do think that, and I don't think that's a very healthy way to think, But to me, that went off like a red flag. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. And so it was like a self-awareness thing. And so I'm like, well, do all people have that or not? Obviously, here we are 4 years later, and Braxton, Lori's cousin, still, I mean, he's talking like this. That is scary. Is it not real? Or Tylee and JJ and Charles, them being missing and murdered, is that not registering for Braxton and people like that? You know what I mean? And that's scary to me, because this is my perception, it seems that he doesn't find anything wrong with this. And nothing is ever blamed on Lori. Nothing. It's always somebody else, something else, Chad. It's everybody but that person. And like Robin said earlier, it's because nobody ever told no to Lori. In my opinion, same. I agree 1,000% on that. It's the yes men being surrounded by all this positive, blah, blah, blah. We're so perfect, that image that you have to maintain in order to be in that high demand religion or society, whatever, culture. I mean, that's hell. I mean, you can sit there and say that something is whatever, great, wonderful, awesome, but that's not the reality of it. Whenever Ben Thibodeau, the dad, Blaze's dad, came out with his, I don't really know what to make of that. Y'all know, I've shared how I feel about that. And I mean, I was just very skeptical about it. And I was just like, I couldn't attach to it. I tried. I really did. Usually any kind of story like that, especially that one, because it was so very alike, so very much like what happened in our stories, right? And with our loved ones. And I mean, it was triggering also, but I mean, something like that, or like hearing about Ian Pulowski's daughter, Natalie and Ian's daughter, she was missing, okay, for a little bit in East Idaho. They reported on it, and I was like, what? Oh my God. First place my mind went was Melanie Pulowski. I was like, oh my God, because I've met this little girl. I've met her and Max, Lily and Max. Wait, am I saying their names right? I always get them mixed up with Max and Lily. I might have it wrong. I think that's their names, right? But even when I met them, I was like, uh-oh, it reminded me of the cartoon. And so I think so. Well, anyways, they found her, right? She just got lost. But oh my God, I couldn't imagine how Natalie felt or thought, what went through her mind, right? Holy shit. It's scary, and especially with these types of people. To me, I'm just very, very cautious now, where I wasn't before. But that's now. After going through what we've gone through by losing our loved ones to such extreme and delusional thinking. It's just, I don't know how. I don't think that all people who believe in God are delusional. No, but yes, there is that level in there. And I could be speaking ignorant again, but really, I don't know. I don't know if it's the common sense. It's not so common or what, but they sell it anywhere. Yeah. But it's all anyway. So, but it just has always, my gut has always told me that this goes all the way to the top. Didn't know how to get anybody there. I could just say it. Okay. And I can say it all day long. Doesn't mean it's true. Okay. I want to be able to prove it. That was my thing. I want to be able to lead you there. I want to be able to say, here's a breadcrumb. Here's a breadcrumb. Here's a breadcrumb. This is how I got there. Here's the evidence of how I got to where I'm at. A lot of people are very uncomfortable with this. And I understand, but murder is it's uncomfortable. Yes, death is uncomfortable already. Murder is 100,000 times worse than that. Trust me on this one. Because I remember just saying the word murder is very heavy. I wonder if people say the word and think like I do. Probably not. I'm not saying my way's the right way, but this is how I thought. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so big. It's so bad. It's heavy. And as it should be, we don't need to get comfortable with, all these censored words. That's why they're censored. It's not because they just are like, yeah, we're just going to regulate those. No, it's because they have meaning behind them. They mean something to a lot of people. Negative people, a lot of people, not negative people, but a lot of people take them as negative things when it's just reality. It is the reality of the victim. It is the reality in my family. And to me, it is the reality of the situation and the case and why we are here. It is reality. And when people start thinking that it is not reality and this doesn't affect people and they start defending assholes like this and their leaders, then that's where we have a problem, in my opinion. That is where it's like a slap in the face to me. It's a slap in the face to the victims for sure, but it's a slap in the face because they are discounting what happened to them, which is reality. They are discounting that and they are taking that away because they are uncomfortable with reality. Reality is murder happens. Reality is these kids are dead and these people are dead. Reality is it is your religion. Reality is these are your teachings. These are not their own teachings. I know that's comfortable for you, but it is not reality. And that is where I need people to stop and think. And you'd be surprised. I see them all the time. People defending this freaking book and their leaders, their bishops, and that's a good person, and I'm like, goody, goody gumdrops. That's the person they are projecting to you. Okay. Do you know what goes on behind closed doors? Probably not. But meanwhile, they're doing all these bad things to all these kids and all these people right there in front of your face. And why are we going to defend these people? Do we know them like that? I mean, would they do that for you? Just saying. And so you see these people who defend. I mean, I've heard David Warwick is just great, wonderful. Okay, maybe on a Sunday or a Tuesday. I don't know. Not today or any other day in my book. Not any day that ends with a Y. In my book, I think that he disturbs me. His existence disturbs me. Okay. Anybody that can be there while a child and children are murdered and to be as, I don't recall, it just so, what do you call that? I don't know. As I was thinking about it, it kind of went away, but they just kind of, they're lies. They're just lies so that they can be comfortable with what they are doing. And that's not my problem. They were involved, in my opinion, all the way. And so whatever they have to do, however personalities they got to split into to just cope with the shit that they're involved in, is on them. That is not me. That has nothing to do with JJ or Tylee or Charles or Tammy. However, it had everything to do with why they are not here today. Because none of those people have a backbone. None of those people have a spine, and they cannot stand for themselves because all they can do is follow. That's all they can do. Because they don't have shit. They're weak people, in my opinion. But enough power, over kids and unsuspecting spouses. You some badasses, right? But you're not. You're cowards. That's how I believe. But anyways, all right, get a little mad, right? Not mad, but just it is what it is. It doesn't I don't know. So I had found a while, well, let's see. There's so many ways I can go with this. Like I said, yeah, flippant. There you go. Any man who demands an innocent young girl tell him if she is a virgin alone in an office is right. And that was normal. Just think of the things that don't come to the surface that are kept in-house via Curtin McConkie and leaders. And they never get found out. These victims never see justice. These perpetrators never see justice. Things are not right, especially in this. And that's where I've researched. That's what we talk about. It's what we talk about here. That's the difficult research, right? And these are the things that I've found by doing a little healthy conflict, right? But by finding all the things that allowed this and these heinous crimes, these egregious crimes to happen, that they never were brought to be accountable. And that's why they are happening again. And that's why they will continue to happen again. And I know I sound like a crazy, some people are like, well, I think you're just grieving. And I mean, correct. I am just grieving, but I'm also learning a lot of things along the way. I appreciate people being concerned and stuff, but I really just need you to listen. I need you to help me, because I can't do this alone. I don't want to do this alone. It's a very lonely place to be. There is no red carpet. This is not being famous. This is you're just related to people who were murdered heinously and via this way. And it happened to make it onto the mainstream media. And so it's that double edge, where on this side you have where you get to share your whole family with the world and they love them just as much as you love them. That's beautiful. But then there's the other side that exploit that prey on that. And it's weird. It's just a weird truth from my perspective of how I see society and people. And it's just weird. I don't know how else to say that. But I mean, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I don't think anybody in our family would wish this on anybody else. And so here we are. Here I am. And I'm like, hey, come on, let's figure out these things. How do we stop this? How do we raise awareness about that? And so we have to point these things out, just like we would do with Chandler police who dropped the ball. They're one of the people that dropped the ball. Okay. There's another side to this. There is how my uncle went through his ecclesiastical leaders, as you're supposed to do, as you are taught to do. You go to a fireman, you go to a police officer, you go to a teacher, you go to somebody with that role, that authority. You go to somebody where you're going to get help. Okay. That's what we teach our kids. That's what I teach my kids. And that's what I was taught. My uncle did that. And there's so many things that let him down. And the church is no different. It acts like a corporation. Incorporation. Sorry. It's a multi-billion-dollar, almost trillion-dollar entity. It is the most wealthiest church in the United States. And I mean, to know the backstory, you got to know that that's the White Horse Prophecy. And that Glenn Beck has even blown the whistle before a long time ago. And that's when he said the Constitution's hanging by a thread. Well, you got to know these things. And it's good to study these entities, these enemies, self-made. They did it themselves, not me. But I don't trust this entity. This entity has, I know, I need to read that. Godmakers. Yes. Karen, I know it's been on my list to buy it. I have so many that I want to buy and read. Just want the time. Man, I've learned so much through this, but I can't wait to read that. One of them. Anyways, but so, if we're going to call out the Chandler Police Department and they have to be liable, they have to be accountable for what they dropped. What difference is the damn church? And they have an added level of responsibility, in my opinion, because they preached the gospel, so to speak. They preached all these good, tell the truth and yada, 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 and all this crap, but they don't practice it. Okay. And that is called hypocrite. And so nobody holds this church accountable, or if they do, it's because they've been victimized. And then, the church protects these PDF files, these predators, and they put them back into they put them back with children. They put them back in an authoritative position with your children. I don't get it. I don't care. Don't forgive the freaking offender. Don't forgive the church either, because they are enabling said offender to offend more because they've never been held accountable. David Hamblin, David Leavitt, all of them. There's so many, I can't name them all. Okay. They've never been held accountable. And David Hamblin has even confessed to his daughter for abusing. I know I'm not say abusing because I'm censored here, right? It sucks to speak freely, but he's harmed her. He admitted that. Still, they let him out on bail. This is back in when the satanic panic was going on, because it really was a satanic panic. Sorry. Screw you and your conspiracies, because this is the truth. People can't handle the truth. People are easily swayed to believe that that's not truth. That's called gaslighting. Okay. And so people are like, and I don't know until I go in and research for myself and see it with my own eyes and hear it with my own ears and experience it for myself. Do your own research is very important. And so we're told to discount all that. No, that's crazy. That's outlandish. It's been debunked. That is a slap in the face to anyone who is discrediting a victim or somebody claiming that these things happened. Shame on them. Okay? Shame on them. Who are you? Who am I to sit here and say whether someone experienced something or not? Okay? That is not our place. It is just, I don't, that pisses me off. It really does. I'm not going to sit here and say that person experienced that or not. Not my monkeys, not my circus. Okay. And so that has happened. I've experienced that. It's happened with these Hamblin girls, the Hamblin daughters. Okay. And I really do appreciate, he goes by Goel, who has been bringing those horrible, horrifying victim reports. The victims, did report their abuse, and they are very detailed and they are very disturbing. Very disturbing. And they didn't write those reports or make those reports to sway you or me. Okay. They wrote it because that's what they recall. That is what they experienced. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and say, no, just because that's crazy and I'm not comfortable with it. That didn't happen. Okay. No. Society's all backwards. Right. So I've read the documents by themselves, but then Goel just started bringing them to life, so to speak. I wish there was another word. It's a nightmare. I can't imagine what these girls have gone through. And that's just 3 girls. 3. There's a whole lot of population out there. Okay. And these things have happened over and over and over again. And they get hushed. They get silenced. It's systematic and boom, and just swept under the rug. And then boom, labeled as debunked or crazy. Okay. And so I think this is how the whole conspiracy theorist crap goes on. I really don't know the terms. I just know what I feel, what I learn, what I know for myself, and what I see. And I'm like, oh God, they're going to label me as a conspiracy theorist when this is not my thinking, period. First off, but these are the people that I'm studying. So that tells you a lot. They are projectors. So think about that. I have thought about that. They're projectors saying that all these outlandish things are conspiracy theorists, and they're labeling them as crazy, unbelievable, oh, just outlandish things. David Leavitt has said that. They're outlandish and they've been debunked. So what that girl over, talking about me, what that girl over there is saying, that's been debunked as outlandish, it's crazy, and you just shouldn't believe it. Well, I think those are your conspiracy theorists. Those are the ones who are doing the offending. They don't want you to find out what they are doing. They don't want you to reveal what they are doing, because then they can't continue to do it, because then they have to be held accountable for what they are doing to people and children. And that's disgusting. I've always thought that Tim Ballard was projecting. I just didn't know to this degree. And it's sickening. It's enraging. Oh my God. He is gross, but he is only a product of his grandfather, who is even more gross. Okay. In my opinion, he is involved. In my opinion, don't come murder me. Just saying. Involved with why my family's not here today. That church set Chad and Lori up via the secret sealing, their secret marriage, the secret polygamy practice. And I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to debate it with you anymore. Anybody who's like, no, I don't think it's a second anointing because you got to be rich and you got to be high up. And no, that's your standards, or that's your list of, things that tick off. I don't have to tick that off. I've done all that, and it's insanity. And they play by their own rules. That's what I know. I've tried to dismiss all the things. Okay. And then I always come back to, but this is what happened. Chad talks about it in his James and Elena story. Okay. They like to talk. All we got to do is listen. It's right there. It's right there. That would be Russell Ballard, the apostle in the Church of Jesus. I'm not going to say the whole name because I'm trying to get axed. I'm trying not to be murdered, Robin. Right? I don't want to be murdered. I don't want my family to be retaliated against. And if you don't think that happens, it happens. Okay. When you're a threat, when you're saying things that's not very popular, I've said it so many times, it's very lonely here. And it's not just because, I need to go out more or anything. It's very lonely to sit here with that burden. And it's not my burden, it's their burden. And I'll be damned. That's just another way for them to distance themselves, Robinette. That is it'll come out. I actually think, how Lynn Packer, everybody is always like, no relation. It's always put out there, no relation. That's bullshit. I mean, I call bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. I don't know that for sure. I don't have the papers. They're all about genealogy. Where's the damn genealogy, right? And yes, I mean, that's his grandson. That's his grandfather. That's another way for that church to distance itself from controversy, from the very shit that they create. Okay. That's there you go. You got it. You heard it here first. But yeah, like a grandpa. They can say whatever they want. I don't take what they say with much weight because they are liars, and that's what they do. And so whatever they are projecting onto us is what they are doing. So if they're saying that they're anti-sex trafficking, okay, you know where I'm at. They are trafficking. They are the perpetrator. They are doing what they are scaring you about, me about, us about. I mean, it just makes all the sense in the world. Oh yeah, that's terrible. And his family just wanted, just keep it quiet. Right. I'm so glad you did. Good. I mean, good. And that's the one way that's the only way you hurt them, or I say hurt them. I don't think they have feelings, but that's the only way you impact them is through their pocket, because that's all they care about is money. Okay. That's where I'm at. We're beyond all that compassion and empathy thing. That's, yeah. It took me a little bit to figure that out, but I'm very, very happy to hear that. Sad to hear it, but happy to hear it. Oh God, I know. That's terrifying. Anyway, so yeah, I've been going down my own rabbit holes always, right? And I have oh, this is another thing. Let me show you real quick. Goel. And so whenever I get off here, I've been waiting on it to drop. Where's that? Is it right here? No, right here. Okay. So this is, and I mean, she's Mormon. Okay. Again, I get my research from all over. It's here at the fingertips. Okay. I know that there's been a couple times, when like Jim was like, oh my God, when I'd tell her, she'd ask me where I got that information from or whatever. And then I'd tell her and she'd be like, oh my God, they're a cult or whatever, just whatever it was. And I was like, okay, okay. I don't rely solely on that one piece of information. I take what I need and I leave the rest. Right. And I mean, we're here where I think that we're all natural researchers, really. And, you do with the information what you will. You don't take it as word or prophecy or law. That's not the last final say so. It's just part of the process. Anyway, so Goel is on here, and actually this is 132 problems revisiting Mormon polygamy. And so her last name is Stone. And I've watched her before, but Goel is on here, and it's it dropped today, which today is Lori and Chad's anniversary. So happy unanniversary to that couple. Right? Oh, by their fruits we know. Right? Okay. So Michelle Stone is her name. Okay. So last week she had on her channel Spencer Cannon, and he is the police officer, or I forget his title exactly or his position, but he has come out on the very few child sex cannibalistic case. Okay. And that's the Hamblin girls. That's from the Satanic Panic, from that time period, that's been debunked, and all this good stuff. Well, through him, I'm learning all kinds of connections from Goel right here. I've shared him with you before with mainly the David Leavitt stuff. I'm learning a lot of things about Lori and Chad, how these affiliations go together. And so people are probably like, well, how the hell can their case be connected to all these cases? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know that they do. And I'm learning through his investigations, through Goel's, that's what he goes by, Goel's investigations, bringing those documents to life, those reports of those daughters' nightmare, their abuse that they've gotten from their dad, who was a Mormon therapist, by the way, who has other victims who were his patients. Okay. That's just another one of these horrible, rotten onion layers. Okay. It all goes together though. And so I've always felt that Tim Ballard and the apostle is involved. And I always thought so. It was involved through Tim Ballard, right? Because not everybody just has access to upper management. I'm just going to say upper management from right here on out, because it's scary to say this, because I don't have the proof yet. And so that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing, is gathering information in these pieces that fill these things in. Okay. And so if you want to know, that's what I'm doing. Hey, Agnes. Hey. Yeah. Yes. Time and time again. So many people have discounted And and that's the same thing as Tylee and JJ and Charles and Tammy. When people go and they defend an entity, or it could be no, I'm not accusing him. Oh my God. That's why I don't talk about it. It's hard to talk about. I don't even know the right term. I don't have a lawyer in my pocket, but my spidey senses have always led me up the ladder, so to speak. And to what level, what degree, I don't know. But definitely it comes from the top and it rolls down. Yeah. Definitely, I can't do this, unless I have proof. And then I don't know. It'll come to light though, as it has been. But through the Hamblin case, I am learning how it is connected and how they are connected, how they are related, and how they do run in the same circles, and how Lori and Chad would have access to such upper echelons, okay, so to speak. He does look like a toad. Somebody said the other day he looks like a toe, and I laughed so hard at that. It's funny. Yeah, that's what I don't care. If somebody is going to church every single day, there's like nobody that noticed and said, "Hey, what's going on with this person? Why does Jessie have duct tape on her mouth, Jodi?" That kind of thing. Yeah. And I really do believe that it's because they're oh God, it's so hard to talk about publicly because not everybody's on the same page. And I mean, I get it. I get it. I'm sorry, I just choked on my own smoke. Right. I tend to believe that, and I mean, this doesn't go for everybody. If the shoe fits, though, wear it. There's a lot of hypocrites at church. There's a lot of judgmental people at church. A lot of sinners sinning the same as me and you, but then projecting their shit onto you, like shaming you and all those things. I really think that they just need to be checked. They need to check themselves because they are just projecting all their crap, all their insecurities, all their feelings, all the things that they don't like about themselves onto us, other people. I don't know. I've just from watching all this go down, I'm like, what is this? That church, in my opinion, projects all of its dark shit onto everyone around it. It's like a narcissistic parent that it doesn't acknowledge you. First off, it doesn't acknowledge anybody under it. You're just a thing. You're an inanimate object. You are a number. You are nothing to them. They don't know your name. They just care that you pay them to tell you what to do. Don't listen to any psychics or mediums or sorcerers. Just listen to us. We're your psychic. We're your medium. We are your sorcerer. Double standard for me. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm like, well, I try really hard with that. So maybe it's something I'm missing. I'm looking for it though. I'm always like, I don't get it though. That's me. Yeah, and that's only as good as that's like the death penalty. That's where I'm at. I thought about that analogy the other day. It's the same as a death penalty for a never Mormon, right? So yeah, devaluing. Yep, the narc parent. And it does no good if you enforce the death penalty. I mean, if you not enforce it, if you whatever. What's the word? Y'all know. If you whatever. If you crap, it's an important word. Whatever, if you enforce the death penalty, if you evoke, I don't know what to say. Like, I know that Chad, he and Lori too, right? I feel like, and I hope I'm wrong. I don't know. It just goes into that whole thing. I just want them to never be among the free world ever again, in this lifetime. the next lifetime, they got a bunch to catch up because they regressed, right? They went backwards the wrong way. And so here they are. They're like, oh my God, we're so special and we're warrioresses and we're warriors and we are kings and queens. Why? And kings and queens, gods and goddesses, and priests and priestesses, warriors and warrioresses, because they are told that, and because the church actually has a ceremony, and it's a secret ceremony. Why? Because it's a freaking mess, because it causes things like this. That is the cause of every offshoot in this church, in my opinion, from my research. It's not because somebody went rogue. It's because somebody went rogue because they were affiliated with leadership. Okay. Leadership's distance. They throw these campaigns out all the time. Okay. These hit pieces, and they do really good at it. And then they don't have to fight. They don't have to say a damn thing. Okay. All they do is tell their congregants, a few, and then they do the bidding for them. They're flying monkeys. Okay. That's all I've ever heard throughout this entire thing was, we don't teach the 144,000. We don't know what the Church of the Firstborn is. We don't. Where it came from somewhere. Okay. And they're not Catholic, and they're not Baptist, and they're not Pentecostal. They're freaking Mormon. It came from yours. Okay. You just don't know that yet. It's not everybody's experience. Okay. And so it's like okay, so if you look at this in the narcissistic, I guess, framework, then that's your scapegoat and your what is that? The golden child or whatever. I don't know all the terms, but it's the same kind of system. Everybody does the bidding for the narcissist, and nobody ever tells the narcissist no. Nobody ever tells that church no. They've gone unchecked for so long. And I mean, they've committed allegedly fraud. The SEC thing with the hiding money, not just from its congregation, hiding money from our government. That's the white horse prophecy. That's the hanging by a thread. The Constitution is hanging by a thread. That's that dog whistle that at any moment, and it's even been evoked by Glenn Beck back in 2010. If you go look at the Young Turks YouTube channel, just type in, I just stuttered really bad. Just type in the Constitution's hanging by a thread or hanging by a thread and go look at that video. This Turks, the Young Turks is where I found it. That's where Jason found it, actually. I was like, wow, where'd you find this? And it's whenever I was learning about how the church uses code words, okay, because they do use their own language to talk, okay. There's a lot of things now that I've learned what I've learned, how they speak. It's called Mormon speak. Rob Wood said it to Summer Shiflett. He was like, I know I'm speaking Mormon speak, LDS speak. And I was like, what? Well, they do. They have their own language. It's like twins, they have their own language. And I'm like, what the hell are they saying? Because it's not matching what they're doing, and that's bothersome. It's like spying on Russia or China or, you know what I'm saying? North Korea. But okay, so yeah, it's like the death penalty. If we don't enforce it, if we don't ever say, okay, here's D-Day, this is the day you'll be executed, and actually carry those out, what's the point? So the same thing with the next communication. There's no point in it. It means nothing to me. I'm not a Mormon. It doesn't mean it. I'm like, okay, well, it didn't stop. And like Chad, he wasn't excommunicated until the second day of his preliminary hearing. Letters went out to the jury pool, to where Chad, Rob Wood, all these people are from. Rob Wood was a bishop in the church. And these letters went out and said not to involve themselves in any investigation. The only investigation that was real big at that time that I know of was the kids being missing. And so, in my opinion, that is obstruction of justice, because that church told their congregants, basically, from where I see it, to shut up, to not say nothing unless they talk to their in-house crap, their people. Keep it inside. Shh, hush, hush, hush. Over kids who were missing. I feel like they knew the kids were missing, in my opinion. They sure didn't lend out their huge platform to say, hey, how can we help? They didn't do that. They told people to shut up. And I got a problem with that. So you have Rob Wood, who, according to that letter that was sent out by the church, who said that they do that periodically, but the last time they had sent that letter out was in 2010. So I really want to know what happened in 2010. Was Elizabeth Smart missing at that time? Just wondering. What were they trying to silence back then? Okay. Now they can do that to their congregation all day long because they're members and they pay to get treated like shit. I am not a member and I don't give a shit. Okay. I don't care. That has nothing on me. That's where I'm at. And it really does piss me off. So that letter told everybody to go and talk to their bishops to keep it in house. Okay. Before you go and tell any cop anything, you come tell us first. Okay. Okay, girl. Come tell us. And that's the church. So Rob Wood got the same letter, as far as I know. And Rob Wood being a bishop, Mormon bishop, I mean, did he have to ask the church how to prosecute this case? How do I prosecute this case? How do you want me to prosecute this case? That bothers me. Integrity, it missed them completely. And I just have always felt I want this out. I want their trials out of the Mormidor. I don't want them nowhere near the Mormidor. Because I want not only them to have justice, I want them to have a fair trial. Because if not, it poo-poos all over everything else. Right? It's we have to pay for it, right? Because we got to keep going back and back and back and going through all the emotional crap, which I think is another level of torture. You know, holding the kids' bodies for 18 years. I'm just being sarcastic, but that's torture to me. We are at the mercy of this very people that, in my opinion, murdered my family. How would you like it if they were judge and jury? You know, how would you like that? How would you feel? Would you feel like, yeah, they got it. They have my best interest in their hands and they're going to care for it? Oh, I wanted to. I used to think like that. I don't think like that anymore. I don't, if I saw integrity, if I saw a good Christian, if I saw good things coming from this church, I mean, that would be a whole different ball game. But I don't see that here. It's void. It's not there. I see nothing but shitty stuff coming from this church. Okay. And I can only make so many excuses for them. And you can make only so many excuses for them before you're like, who's going to hold this church accountable? And then it's like a lot of people, and myself included in the beginning, till I was like, you know what? They're just men. Okay. And these things happened. And I feel like it goes all the way up. It's just a bad feeling. It's a bad feeling. Just don't know where or how. I don't know anything about this church or its structure or how it's made up. I don't know anything. Started fresh, clear, blank canvas. And this is where I'm at. I'm not like, yay, they're great people. No, I'm up. And that's where the truth has led me, is to right here. And I don't trust this incorporation at all. It's a corporation. It's a business. And their business is money, and they dabble in Jesus. Okay. But it's about building their portfolio. It's about, saving up all this money and hiding all this money from all of us American people. Okay. From the stock market, from the stock market exchange. They could actually cause us to go into civil unrest because they could pull it out the stock market. Nobody knew it was even there because they didn't report it. Didn't feel like they had to report it for the last 28 years. Okay. When you believe you're God, You are above everything else and everyone else. No, there's no authority over you to check you or that entity. There's nobody there to check them. They've just done and said whatever they want to do. They are Lori on speed, okay? It's scary. And so that's a learned behavior. When I saw Lori, yes, it's the same thing. It's a mirror. It's like holding a mirror up. And I'm like, okay, well, that explains it. That explains a lot of things for me. Is the why. We can sit there and just dwindle it down to just Lori and her family, how she was raised, how she was brought up. But really, it goes back generation after generation it goes back because it's a learned behavior, in my opinion. Monkey see, monkey do. Appearance of corruption, right, Angela? I know. I can't stand to see her smirk either. But these guys, these men, these alleged men of God, they smirk at us too. And they're okay with poo-pooing on my family. And I'm not, I ain't a part of it. They just mess with the wrong damn person. That's what I'm saying. They mess with the wrong family. And I don't want to speak for my family, because I only speak for myself. They speak for themselves. That's how that works. But this goes further, way above Chad and Lori. That's why I've always, like, during the trial, watching Lori, just be quiet. When she could just really come out and just say what it is. But she swore an oath. She took an oath. Okay. And God doesn't do anything in secret. I know that much. My God. He doesn't do things in secret. But there's this whole religion who has just, in my opinion, come in with a wrecking ball. Subtly, though. A subtle wrecking ball. And they've twisted beliefs just a little bit over time. And that's how Satan works, in my opinion. Just, there's the truth. He can never be God, but he tries his best to be the, what do you call it? He's a master deceiver. So he tries to plant these things and just, I really don't know how that works, but that's how it works for me, in my mind, in my world, in my beliefs. It just takes a little bit over time. And after a while, that's really warped and really far, far, far from what is truth. And if we do things to make us feel comfortable, that's just that's human nature, I believe. Well, my God, wouldn't do fire and brimstone if I'm living this way. Well, that's between you and God. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell me either, Yeah, jail life, huh? The fights, the noise. Oh my God. Hey, I went to jail for about 13 days for, what was it? I never can think of the word. Contempt of court. I didn't show up. Show up to your court hearing, your court dates. I was like, no, I don't belong here. And I like to think I'm a little more tough than Lori. At least I think so. And I was like, oh my God. They never shut up. I'll tell you that much. They never shut up. I put pads in my ears, straight up. Parts of pads in my ears. That's how I made it. Holy hell. That is some hell right there. Yeah. But anyways, no, they're not special. I had to come to, it's neither is the Pope. I know people look up to him, but I just don't see good fruits coming from these institutions. I don't. You got people that are okay at throwing money and an NDA. Where do you think Tim Ballard gets this? He was taught this. This is what they do. They will just write a check, shut the victim up, and then throw an NDA on them, a non-disclosure agreement, which really means nothing. But they don't know that. I didn't know that till I learned that it really is nothing. And they silence them. That's how they put duct tape, let's just say, duct tape on their victims and keep them quiet if they're not murdered. Okay. Thank you. Oh, that's sweet. That makes me feel good. It does. That's why I do it. Their stories are important. Their stories are, oh my God, I can't talk. Their stories are important. They're the most important thing in this. They're not here to tell them, but the truth does tell that. And if people are suppressing and holding back the truth, then they're putting that duct tape on my family's mouths all over again. It's so polarized. It really does. It pisses me off more than anything. Really. It drives me too. So just know that. You know, I can get pissed off all day long, but it drives me as well. And that's what it's all about, I guess. Anyway, so I was reading, so go watch whenever we get off here. I'll share the link with you. It's 132. As soon as I find it, it's this is the uncut one, Polygamy and SRA interview with Go L. And so he, by his research, which just like Lynn Packer's research, Go L's research, they're going hand in hand for me. And Goel is actually starting to dip into Tim Ballard. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, good. I mean, it just really confirms my hunch, my gut feeling. I've felt that. I just don't know where or how exactly they connect. I didn't know Thom Harrison connected. I just knew he was friends with him. I keep stuttering or sound like I have a lisp. I just didn't see these things. How exactly? But you're starting to see them. And I mean, it's just, I've been like, oh my God, I've been screaming this at the top of my lungs for 4 years, just not having the words, the vocabulary, I just don't have the database, of a Mormon. It's not Mormon speak. And then to get a Mormon or an ex-Mormon to see these things, it takes them a while, but I'm glad that they are seeing these things big time. It's a relief, and I'm like, hey guys, there's a fire right here. There's a fire. It's right here. Here's the rest of the story. And everybody's just like, oh, poor girl, poor thing. She's just crazy over there. And okay, I'll take it. But just look, don't discount it. Don't discount me because I sound crazy or I don't have the words. It's hard. This isn't easy. This has not been easy at all. No step of this. But it's been worth it. They've been worth it, and they are worth it. And it's worth, their blood was spilled. It was atoned, because Jesus's blood, in my opinion, I realized this a while back, a couple weeks ago, how it bothers me how much people, it's like Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe's blood's not enough to get their attention. They still make excuses. They still, no, that's a good man. They defend their beliefs. They built in these men, these people who are doing bad things. But I realized, I'm like, oh my God, okay. But these are people who believe in blood atonement also. Even if they don't believe in it, they believe in an institution that does and has. And to me, it says a lot. Okay. So they don't even believe that Jesus Christ's blood was enough for their sins. They have to do their own thing because they're extra. And that's how Satan works, in my opinion. He deceives people. And I see a lot of people deceived. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but we can figure them out together. You don't need an institution. You don't have to pay them. You don't have to be enslaved. You don't have to be under their bondage. You don't have to do all that just for them to tell you that you're never going to be enough, which is bad. It breaks my heart. Yes, it does. So bad. I've read a lot of stories. I've read a lot of things. I still read. I ran across a while back. I had, I don't recall right off the top of my head, but it's a Mormon historian, and they had the Ervil LeBaron. It's called The Principles of, well, here, I'll show it to you. It's, and so what I did, I just copied and pasted it in here. And oh my God, y'all, this made me realize about society, period. I was like, oh my God, that's what this is. It's not any different. The church teaches this too, or they believe in this. They believe in this. Okay. I don't care who they are. I don't care what they say. I don't believe them because I see all the fruits of this, which is Ervil LeBaron. It came from Ervil LeBaron, Church of the Firstborn. But that is exactly what the church is putting out. That's what creates these offshoots, so to speak. Okay, if I have to speak in their terms. The church teaches this, not openly, but that's the secret part of this. That is the second anointing thing that they put. Chad and Lori would have never met had that church not introduced them two together and sealed them together. Okay, so we are here because the church said, "Here you go. We know you're married to Sister Tammy. We know that you're married to Brother Charles, and they're both lifelong, or well, not Charles, but lifelong members of the Church of Jesus Christ, of blah blah blah, and they pay their tithing and they serve their callings, and they are good people." Okay, but we're going to seal these people together because we're sealing up the 144,000. Here's your 144,000. And this is their 144,000. They're sealing them up 2 by 2. Okay, only couples get to go to Zion or the second coming, whatever this is. The second coming, I've learned, and I know I might sound crazy because I don't have the words, right? This freaked me out the other night when I finally read this thing in its entirety. It's like I couldn't pull my eyes away from it. That's how I was like, it had me. And it takes a lot for anything to have my attention. Okay. And I mean, so much so that me and Jason went to Walmart. We went in. I mean, I went right back outside and I finished reading because I was just like, oh my God, I got to finish that because it's telling. Okay. Like right here, I put these little emojis, but I put, well, I'm reading it. I'm sorry. I didn't put anything but these emojis. So, and everything's in red is just because I wanted to highlight it, not because Jesus said it, because you won't see that in the Book of Mormon. You don't see where Jesus spoke. Okay. And they do say that they believed in the Bible. They believe in the Bible, but only one certain version of it, the King James version of it, 16th century, I think it is. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, and then Joseph Smith, and I'm doing the air quotes, right? Translated it correctly. And I'm like, what? Okay, narcissist, here is your sign and your meds. So basically this is the very end of this one document. Okay. And I was just going through, and I mean, it captured me, and I was like, that's what this is. And that's what it really is. What I think, I'm not trying to scare anybody. This is where we're going as a society. And it just tells me about who they are. And by they, I mean the church and churches alike, people in those positions. Apply it where you will. But I'm going to read this. Number 5, we invite all men who are truly interested in the cause of Zion. Now, I'm going to just kind of give you the shortcut. Okay. That way you don't have to read all this. You can, but I'd rather you do. But this is where I'm at. This goes into the whole New World Order, y'all. I'm telling you. The elitist, okay? And they're Mormon elites. And they go to Catholic conferences, and they go and travel to Rome and meet with other global leaders, okay? If I sound crazy, so damn be it, okay? Because I earned my way to be here. But anyway, so the cause of Zion, the second coming, is basically this reset thing, in my opinion. I know. We invite all men who are truly interested in the cause of Zion and the rolling forth of the work of the Lord, again, their Lord, and who are willing to support the principles of the gospel of peace as taught by Joseph Smith, the prophet, and Jesus Christ. Yeah, remember him? To come to the standard of truth, which is now being proclaimed. I was like, I put the 3 monkeys, right? The monkey see, monkey hear, monkey do. You know what I mean? In closing, we quote from the word of the Lord concerning events pertaining to these last times. And for this cause, that men might be made partakers of the glories, which is the whole TK smoothie thing, the whole celestial kingdoms. Okay, y'all know, okay, I need to shut up. I'm getting ahead of myself. You know how they're going, or I don't know, the government, whatever, I don't know the things, y'all. I just kind of see things and then I'm like, oh, that's what that is. I don't know. It'll take me 100,000 years to just research everything, but this is just kind of what I see fitting that. I have very good imagination too, I guess. Or, insight and, I can see things. When somebody tells me a story, I can picture it, playing out or whatever. But okay, let me just finish reading it and then I'll tell you. Okay. And so see how right here it's going to say fullness with one L. That's a big difference because there's one L and two L's. And John Pontius, the author with this book, okay, and a lot of these people that I've researched to find out how and what Lori and Chad believed, how it differed from the church, and how I'm like, it didn't differ from the church. They just got caught basically, and church had to go and sever ties. And it's what they did. And it works every time. And that's why we will continue to have sacrificed children. Okay. That's why we will continue to have blood atonement, wink, wink, which is sacrificing these children. I don't know. I don't do it. I just know this is where it leads me. And that's some pretty satanic shit. Okay, and for this cause that men might be made partakers of the glories, which are the 3 degrees of glories. That's the Mormon heavens, right? There's the telestial, terrestrial, and celestial. And so it goes in, guess I'm going there. Anyways, it goes in with the whole social scoring system that I keep hearing about, right? I don't have time to study it or research into it because I'm always doing this shit. But that's kind of my perception on that is, or my understanding. So they have this, and we call it the TK smoothie. Okay. Because it's like, there's this level, and you got to think of it as a tiered system, which MLMs and Mormonism go hand in hand. Okay. And that's the hierarchy of the church, how they have the 3 top dudes, then they have the 12 under them, and then they have the 70 under them. It's a government body. And I mean, it's a very patriotic church, right? You got to think about that too. There is no separation of church and state. It looks good. It sounds good. However, it is not reality. I know that firsthand from watching this shit play out. In the court system, it is not a separation of church and state. And I understand that's a good, again, that's what that's what it's supposed to be. But that's not what's practiced, okay? Especially over here in the Mormodor. And so you have this hierarchy, you have this tiered system, you have tier 1. And so that is your celestial, that is the highest, that's the celestial champagne room, right? If you're a member on this channel and you're signed up to be, I have telestial, terrestrial, and celestial. Celestial being the highest. You want to go there. That's where Mormons strive to go in their 3 degrees of glory, their belief in heaven. Okay. Well, what if I told you that it's not heaven? What if it's right now, today? What if I tell you that? Okay, that's just kind of what I got to tell you for you to be able to, for anybody who's not able to see, to read through all this, And I mean, again, I could be crazy. I don't know, but it just really sounds legit, and I don't have an agenda here. This has nothing to do with my, I mean, it does, but it don't. But this I kind of found out along the way, and I was like, oh, hell, they done took everything. It took pleasure out of everything for me. I'm just like, okay. But it's heavy. But anyways, so you have, okay, telestial is this earth right now. That is what they say the telestial or the lowest level of Mormon heaven is. But again, pretend it's actually right now. Okay. Apply it to that. Okay, then the next level is the terrestrial. It's where most of us will go, allegedly. It's above, like in the telestial is where all the rapists and murderers and all the bad people go. But they can earn their way out of it. Okay. They can work, and just get out of it. And they can come up and meet all of us in the terrestrial kingdom where we will not be in the presence of Jesus Christ. But we will, this is the Adam on Diamond shit. Okay. It's not my crazy. I'm just trying to explain it, which is really intimidating because it makes me sound crazy. And when I say it, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. Or trying to explain somebody else is crazy. That's a very difficult thing to do. It got my uncle murdered and not believed by the police. And I see that because I'm like, oh yeah, they don't tend to believe you because you're just describing they're crazy. Anyways, such a catch. And it works. But okay, so the terrestrial and then the celestial is the top of the top. It is where you'll be in the presence of God. Yeah, it's just like Patreon to me. It sounds just like that. If you sign up to this level, you'll get this. If you make it into this one, you'll go here, here, here. Well, I believe maybe this goes in with the social scoring thing that I keep hearing about it. And I'm like, what? Oh hell, So I looked it up earlier, just in my Canva app, and I'm looking for it real quick. One day, allegedly. Oh, I didn't finish this. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Sorry. I go from thing to thing because it's very easy. It's all together though. Anyways, I'll finish it. Okay, in closing, we quote from the word of the Lord concerning events pertaining to these last times. And for this cause that men might be made partakers of the glories which were to be revealed, the Lord sent forth the fullness with one L of his gospel, his everlasting covenant. Okay, what is Tim purporting? The everlasting covenant, right? I'll tell you one day what that is whenever I have a block of time to tell you. And just, you can't think I'm crazy. Maybe I'll do it in a members only or something. It's so crazy. It's crazy. But it's what it is. I don't know. Reasoning in plainness and simplicity. And number 8 says to prepare the weak. Okay, who are the weak in this situation? Tylee, JJ, Charles, Tammy, Joe, the wheat and the tares. They are literally separating the wheat from the tares in order to usher in Jesus Christ. Okay. That's what this is. It's a sweeping, it's a cleansing, it is a purge. It is God. They're taking on God's job, in my opinion. So why do we have to do all this work is what I'm asking. Who said this? Did God say this? Did Jesus say this? Did any of the prophet, and not Mormon prophets, any of the ancient prophets? Okay. I don't want to hear Nephi. I don't want to hear none of that shit anymore. Those are just freaking characters. And actually it led me to wiki fandom. Okay. When I was like, what's Korhor? Who's Korhor? Straight up. Okay. That ain't right. That ain't right. Just bending the truth one little lie at a time. But okay. So they're preparing the weak for those things which are coming to the earth. This is the New World Order, in my opinion. And for the Lord's errand in the day when the weak shall confound the wise, and the little one become a strong nation, and 2 shall put their tens of thousands to flight. I don't really get all that lingo right there, but just hear me out. And by the weak things of the earth, the Lord shall thrash, to beat soundly in punishment, the nations by the power of his spirit. And I put the H is not capitalized. Anything referring to God and Christ, in my opinion, it always has a capital H, he, him. Anytime you're referring to them, their deity, right? And so you capitalize that. And I see a lot of that going on. Anyway, that was just a note I put. And number 10 says, and for this cause, these commandments were given. They were commanded to be kept from the world in the day that they were given, but now are ready to go forth unto all flesh. And this is according to the mind and the will of the Lord, who ruleth over all flesh. And unto him that repenteth, okay, and sanctified, David Warwick, talking about my sanctification, himself before the Lord shall be given eternal life. And that's what Chad and Lori, that's what the second anointing is. It's the eternal, shit, I just lost it. It's the Ark and the Covenant. The Ark and the New Covenant. I'm sorry, my bad. In Mormon speak, it's the Ark and the New Covenant. It's new and everlasting gospel. It is the new and everlasting covenant. It is new and everlasting. Anything with that new word in there and everlasting is something extra, in my opinion, that they added to twist the scriptures into having plural wives, into having just doing and screwing and having whatever good time they want to have without being held accountable for it. I mean, they will, in my opinion, eventually. Just, they're doing this and they're teaching this to everyone, and it's wrong. Twisting the scriptures, right? And so, and upon them that heart, oh my God, and upon them that hearken not to the voice of the Lord shall be fulfilled that which was written by the prophet Moses. Moses, the law of Moses, right? That they should be cut off, sacrifice, maybe blood atoned from among the people. And there's that DNC 133, which is right next to 132, which is polygamy. Okay. But anyways, this whole thing, I read the entire document. It is long. I mean, just time after time, every sentence was just, I was like, oh my God, that's what this is. That's what the Church of the Firstborn is. It never was a real literal place. It's just an idea. It's a label. It's a title. It's extra. It's something they added or whatever. I don't really know. Y'all know I don't know the scriptures, any scriptures. I just know what I read, and I read it like a story. I read it and I try to figure out what, because they speak in scripture, basically. Okay. They speak in parables and scriptures. It tells me a lot about what they're saying. And that's kind of how I got into there. But it's very interesting. And it just opened my eyes to like, oh crap. Okay. Is this the global elitists? I mean, is this what they're doing? And so they're using like this same system as they've created in Mormon heaven, which, I mean, they're either way, it's conditions Mormons alive today in present day to be okay with this kind of thinking. Does that make sense? Like, they're conditioned to their afterlife is going to, and so they're, and I've seen this for myself. I would believe it if I didn't see it for myself. When I was looking at how Chad and Lori, or Chad, used that pickup line, I think we met before in a previous life, and how I found out it has to do with all Mormon. There was a show that used to come on called Saturday's Warrior, and it's this a show that Chad and Lori would have been very, very, very aware of and knowledgeable about. They would have watched it. It influenced them, and they have that same pickup line. It's not anything particular to Chad. It's not anything particular to Lori. It's in this whole toxic society that's very quiet and secret. Okay. And so you got to dig. You're not ever going to get the answer. You ask, but you get the deflection, you get the projection, you get what they want to tell you, because every now and then you get somebody who just says it as it is. And I mean, I'm like, they're few and far in between. They're gems, right? It's very hairy and it's very scary. It can be. It takes all that away from me whenever I know what it is. When I'm more educated about it, which kind of throws me with the whole logic of Spring Thibodeau, how there's just the things her husband was saying. I don't know. It just sounded, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, have y'all seen any mugshots? First off, Arizona's all happy to do mugshots. Okay. They're not like Utah. Utah won't release mugshots, which is beyond me. Why? Because they protect. It's that whole society, that whole culture, right? Where they're just like, shh. And so they just don't fly those things. They don't air that out. They don't have a wall of shame, basically. Anyway, so this is called Priesthood Expounded, and I got it from an active Mormon historian. I don't remember his name right off the top of my head, but I did want to share this with you, and I mean, it's long, but it'll have to be something that like a link or whatever, and you should just read it. It's in my Canva app. I don't know if y'all care about that. Anybody who wants to read it, I think I have it set to where you can edit it and stuff, so don't do that. Because it'll mess all the words up. Oh, y'all couldn't even see it hardly, huh? All right, paste. And so I'm putting that link in the chat. And it's hot in here. Whew. Ain't no air flowing. Okay. The other thing I was reading more on Lynn Packer's investigation. Oh, I stopped sharing it. My bad. Did I? No. What did I just do? I thought I just made it stop. Sorry. It's American Crime Journal. Lynn Packer, his entire investigation into, and it's leading up to the apostle. Okay. You just have to read the tea leaves. And I've watched on Mormon Discussion where they had Lynn Packer after all these lawsuits came out against Tim Ballard, right? And Lynn Packer, I've been following for a long time. Before I was like, oh God, nobody knows about him because nobody was talking about it. Nobody. And I mean, here you see this horrible thing going on with, oh my gosh, underwears, right? When you see these depraved people that you know are involved with the people with Lori and Chad who murdered your family, okay? And you just know they're doing not good things. But here they are. Here's Tim and a lot of people are just not doing the research themselves. They're not looking beyond what his message is, his lie is, and that's to become a hero, right? To be a god, to be elevated to that Messiah status, the God status that he is in, that church put him in. They're like, here you go, here's your pedestal or your throne, here you go. And then, okay, so he's he's doing all this stuff that sounds good, looks good till you peel that first layer of that onion back, and then you're like, oh my God. Okay. It's all about the image. It's no less, no more. It's all about that image. That's it. And so this will, in my opinion, from what I've read into what Lynn Packer has reported, I go to American Crime Journal and I was reading just you can join their Patreon and stuff like that. And I suggest you do support people who are doing this real. I don't think that this investigation would have gotten off the ground had it not been for his diligence and his integrity and his reporting. I get it. He can be dry, but he cracks me up also. I really do appreciate his dedication to this. And I mean, I really admire him because he was Mormon at one time. I guess he's the next. I don't know if he's active or not. And I don't see it that way. Lauren said it best the other day when she said that she believes that there should be no excommunications. And I was like, right. And not only that, but when she said that, oh hell, I just went blank. It'll come back. She said that when we look at Catholics, right? We don't look at them. We just look at them as they're lifelong Catholics. Okay. You don't sit there and whether they're in the church, I've never dealt with that. But anyways, it is what it is. And so a Mormon is always a Mormon, a lifelong Mormon, right? Whether they're active or not, that's just in that culture. That's important to their culture because that's what they're raised to trust. Don't believe him. He's a charlatan, Well, why? Because he differs from what you're saying or how he's saying it. There's so many different degrees in this of true and not true, and just we all have our own agendas. We all have our own things in this of what we're trying to do. Yeah, they get excommunicated too. But again, I didn't even know what excommunicate. I'd never heard that. And I was raised Catholic, but never knew it. And again, through this, I learned that it doesn't mean anything to me either. It's just a piece of paper. It means whatever you give authority to, just like these leaders, any leader. If we stopped following them today, if we all were just like on strike, right? We take away their power. Okay. Because they only have power that we give them. We have forgotten as a people, in my opinion. Oh, he is ex-Mormon. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, me too, Elaine. I don't have. Oh yeah, Silicon Valley. Guess who owns that? Hold on, I gotta think. He's in the shit. Y'all correct me because I'm just gonna spat off right here because I don't remember if it was. I think it was Hugh Vell who was named in Tim Ballard's lawsuit as I want to say a defendant. I think I'm not sure about the defendant part, but Hugh Vell and or Ken Krogh, right? Another millionaire, just, whole bunch of them there sprinkled all together. There's always going to be somebody who, and I try to figure out what their end game is. What do these higher ups, why do they have, okay, I don't know how to say it, so it's really hard. So just please don't get aggravated with me. It's hard to say this out loud and just to be blunt about it because people are going to be all sideways. And I can't help how people react. I just know that I have no control. I'm not trying to piss you off. I'm not trying to sound ignorant. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. Just want to be able to speak. Somebody up in the hierarchy requires the payment of children and sacrifice. Okay? I don't know what that is. I just know that it's there. And why? I don't know what they get out of it. I don't know what they are doing. I don't know that. Besides, I equate it to Satan, and this is how the devil works. This is Satanism. This is them. And so they are in these high positions. I'm not saying it's all, but they are in these high positions, these political positions, authoritative positions, and they help one another out. That's very big here. And I know I've learned from watching Goel and reading Goel's research into the Hamblin case that people like that, the Satanists, and I'm just saying that, I don't really know what else to call them, the bad people, they're doing something and there's a network of them and it works for them because they never get prosecuted. They never get held accountable. And they're always real squeamish. Not squeamish. They're real, just greasy dudes, They're greasy people. They're just like oil. So they get out of everything. Tim Ballard, people like that, like David Hamblin, Gordon Bowen. Okay. These girls report in their victim statements that this mother effer puts freaking dead people's skin on him, okay? And it makes them wear it, all right? I don't know. But we're talking some really sick shit. So there's people, and they it's so crazy because the apostles, not just that one, the 12, they're alleged to go and visit David Hamblin and Gordon Bowen, okay? The church paid Gordon Bowen $20 million. $20 million to come up with their little logo. Okay. Okay. And so I'm learning a lot about Gordon Bowen, and I want to be able to share that with you as I learn it. And, because I pay a subscription to support Goel's work because it's very important work. And it explains Jodi Hildebrandt. It explains these connections. It explains Thom Harrison. It's explaining all these things for me and how these relationships, how these friendships, how these connections work, how they're connected to whom, what all they mean, and why. Why do these people get away with these things? Why aren't they ever held accountable? Why is the church not ever held accountable? They didn't become successful because they did good things. I can tell you that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they got over on a lot of people, I'm sure. Anyways, but I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just know where it brings me. Where it brings me is this is what they require. They want young blood. I don't know what they want. I'm not Jen Caviezel. Okay. I'm not going to sit there and say this or that, but they don't want them to live. That's for sure. And that's why I always said that Lori and Chad have, we always say that Alex was the fall guy for Lori and Chad. But the way I see it, and if I'm trying to get you to see it too, from a different perspective, a little higher, look at the entire thing, is that Lori and Chad and many others who've done this and have fallen for this dupe. It's a dupe. They get them to sacrifice their children for their God. And Lori looks at these men as if they are God in her eyes, in her religion, in her world. Those prophets speak for God. She doesn't believe any other way. So when Rob Wood tells Summer Shiflett that what she has done in righteousness, she thinks she did, but she's being fooled by these men who duped her, and they're okay with that. That's what they do. They're these same men who perpetuate that they are saving trafficked women and children around the globe, millions by the bazillions. And if you don't support them, you are against them, right? And so they call you a pedophile and they say you're supporting their shit. I mean, the adversary shit, which couldn't be any more. The logic is weird and cuckoo. And I think it's meant to sound crazy like that. It's so outlandish. And so that's absurd, right? And so they are spinning all these things. They are purporting these things. They are projecting the very thing that they are doing. Okay. And then they mark it as crazy if it's truth. They get us to rely less and less on our own souls, our own intuition. And I just think that's so bad. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that too. But these things feed into this, and that's scary, when you're born into a religion and they're just like, oh yeah, you're God. You can become God. Then they have a secret ceremony and they tell you that you are God and a goddess, and that you're now sealed to one another, even though you have unsuspecting spouses. I mean, it was just a match made in hell, right? I just don't think that's right. You don't do stuff like that. And then they swear to an oath. It's called a blood oath. It's to avenge this generation, all the generations after that. Is silly. It's secrecy and it's not good. It's dark and it's not of God. That's just it. So it's not God. It's man's twisting of God's scriptures of truth, anyways. So I will we'll go ahead and end on this. Oh hell yeah. Can you tell me otherwise? I'm just like, when I say these things out loud or when I ask those kind of questions, it's just like, there's some people that may not know that yet or have not thought about it. And it's just like, here you go. You have all these things going into play. And we try to discount them because that's just like, no, there's no way. But I'm tired of I'm tired of making excuses for this church. They do enough shit. And they've got plenty of people to do the bidding for them. They never stand up for truth. They never stand up for what's right. I have not seen them. They've never stood up for my family members who were members of their church. You ain't got to say nothing about the perpetrators. But to not say anything or reach out or nothing, that really got me. It really got me. But I appreciate that. I appreciate your perspective. I really do. Yeah, I just like people that can be real, no matter what they believe and who they believe in, they can see these things. It's the people that say they don't see them and that they don't acknowledge their existence. That's when we have a problem. When people don't acknowledge the problems, we got a problem. But anyways, yeah, good night. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm gonna go through whenever I get off here and go cool off in the hot. Then I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. Then yeah, I'll read everybody's comments and we'll see we'll meet again next time, right? Love always wins. Oh, $500 billion church. Lord, that's so scary. We see how that works too. So many homeless people need homes, and so many temples where not a lot of goods going, right? So there you go. But anyways, I love you guys. Love always wins. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. I love you guys. I'll see you guys next time.